My guy, Gene Deal, happy to have you back, my man. Week 2, Diddy trial. I heard you was up there, yo.
Yeah, I went to the court. I had to see for myself, brother. It's an old cliche, a quote that used to say, you always got to treat people good because the same people you see going up the ladder will be the same people you'll see when you're coming down the ladder. And for me, being as petty I could be sometimes, I wanted to just see his face. I wanted to see him in that circumstance, in that situation. I've seen it before with the Sean and the Wolf trial with them when Sean got locked up. But I knew he wasn't going to jail then because they had set it up, for Sean to take the fall. You know what I mean? So, but this particular thing is all him. Everything that he uh, always done to people, got away with it. It just came back and it's hitting them in a crazy way to see him right there. The government is about to take everything. People don't understand the RICO and they don't understand the racketeering and the criminal enterprise, all that set up to take everything that he's gained, everything that he owns. So what they're doing is now they're putting it together, the racketeering part of it, because now they're using Comb Global and Bad Boy Entertainment. They saying that's one and the same. You know what I'm saying? And when they do that, bruh, and they find that that's racketeering, that he used people in his company, to do all these sexual acts, deeds and stuff like that, paying the prostitutes and everything like that. And they prove that, which they doing a hell of a job, a great job in proving that. I had to see, bro. I didn't want nobody to tell me. I didn't want to get it from no YouTuber. I didn't want to get it from no news. I wanted to be right there to hear the testimony of some of those people that was there.
So how was it? Take me through it.
Well, the prosec- the prosecution did a great job. It was certain people like you see, I think her name Dawn. You know what I'm saying? She was in Danity Kane. Uh, she didn't do so well, but she didn't do bad because what happened is that's this, and it's what people don't understand. She set an atmosphere of fear. And then people were saying this, bro. Oh, she went back once. She went back twice. She went back 8 times. She went back 20 some times to him. How could she be scared of him? No disrespect to Dawn for making this analogy. You got people that kick their dogs. You got people that beat their dogs. What do their dog do the next day? Come back and lick their hand. Because that person feeds them. That person is what gives them a house over their head, a roof over their head. That person is the one who put water in their bowl, food in their bowl. See, what people don't understand about Puff is this, is that he held the entertainment grip, especially for the people who was his former artists, in a chokehold. If you didn't do what he say do, if he didn't like you, you would never ever work for Bad Boy or anybody in the entertainment business again. He did it to Kirk Burrows. You understand? He did it to Wendy Williams. He did it to a lot of people, bruh. So now her going back is just wanted to get food on her table, keep a roof over her head. Because nobody was probably telling her, yo, I can't work with you. I can't deal with you unless Puff say so. I'm not gonna work with you. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna do anything because they didn't want to make him mad because he had enough power in the business to stop her. So then she was saying something about, well, she seen this dude once stop selling drugs. Oh, did you see him get cash? Who gave him the cash and stuff like that? The good thing that she said it, and then they said, oh, well, you really didn't see him and stuff like that, but she knew of it. They had people come back and say this guy One Stop name, in their testimony. And they did a great job in their testimony. Like one of his PA's, personal assistants, did a great job in his testimony. And he said, yeah, I used to pay One Stop for the drugs. Then we used to get the drugs to D-Rock. He used to have a case with all the drugs in it and stuff like that. Hold a bag with all the drugs and everything and the money in and stuff like that. So now she mentioned that. So now the jury knows she's telling the truth about One Stop giving people drugs. See, when people look at her, oh, her testimony was terrible. Her testimony, she didn't remember this, she didn't remember that. You ain't got to remember everything, but some of us have a great memory and we do. And I applaud her for even trying. You know what I'm saying? When in fact, she's a person that is a victim. She's a victim, bro. These people who was around him and had to work with him came out, and that's what you find in the trial, that they were being victimized. And people around them that was there saw it, didn't say nothing, and didn't do nothing.
If I'm not mistaken, Dunn, she testified that Diddy, he threw a skillet of eggs at Cassie, right?
Well, I don't know that was Dawn. What happened was one of the PAs, his personal assistants, I think that was George something. I don't know his last name. I think that was George. He said he came in and he had a bowl of apples, and it was Gina. This nigga was throwing a bowl, not to laugh, man, that he was just throwing them apples as hard as he can, hitting Gina with some apples, dog. That's like throwing a brick at somebody almost. And he was doing crazy shit like that, man. He threw on the plane, what you was trying to say, he threw one of those hard, like it could have been a bourbon glass. Those hard glasses that you have that you pour alcohol in? And speaking of alcohol, and we said bourbon, that's my alcohol right there. Want it. Get it in the stores. I got to promote it on your show, Mighty. It's wanted. Get it in the stores, y'all. It's coming real soon. We repackaging the bottle. We repackaging everything. And it's going, bourbons and cigars, man. I know you hate that. You're going to cut that, huh, Mighty? But anyway, man, to get back to the story. Oh, he was on a plane and he throwing glasses at Cassie. And then cursed her the F out and told her to go in the back of the plane and sit. And nobody said nothing. Yo, a lot of stuff is coming out in this trial, man. And it's no coming back from this. And I had to hear it and I had to see it. And I'm glad I heard it. No matter what the outcome is, and I swear for living Jesus, and I know this to be true, if he have any sense, he'll go to the prosecution with his defense team and he'll tell them, yo, can I still get that 5 years? Can I still get that 5 years? But now he's at the point where is that if they prove this racketeering, they could take all his assets. And I think that's what they're shooting for now. Because everything else basically is going to be proven or has been proven.
How did Diddy look appearance-wise?
Thinner. He tried to appear not worried, but I know he's worried. She tried to appear not worried, but he's worried, bro. You understand? You only succeed basically when you first come in If you don't see him, you see him leaving when he's looking back or whatever like that, but you only see the back of his head. He didn't really turn that much or look that much, back to the crowd or anything like that. So you couldn't tell, you could tell that it was him, and it was him because it's his trial, but I never seen that much gray in his hair before in my life. You wouldn't even know. You think he was Papa Diddy. Papa Diddy Pop. Yo, he had so much gray in his hair, bro. So I don't understand why he just don't cut it down or cut it bald so you really couldn't tell like that. But I guess that's what he chose to do.
Kid Cudi, how you feel about him testifying against Diddy?
Well, he testified, and I think he was more. He was very entertaining. He had everybody laughing and shit like that. You know what I mean? But he testified to somebody coming in his house because he would leave his door open, and it was around Christmas time, and they took all the gifts out the wrappers. He didn't say they took the gifts. You know what I'm saying? I can't recall he said they took the gifts. They just took them off the wrappers. I guess they was looking for something. I don't know what it was. You know what I'm saying? They locked his dog in another room. You understand? They didn't really ramshack anything like that. Ain't tell him nothing like that. And then he testified to somebody allegedly Diddy bombing his car, but he didn't say Diddy until the end. He said that him and Diddy was having a lot of beefs and problems because he had found out that he was talking with Cassie, and him and Cassie was dealing with each other. So he was acting like that he wanted to fight Diddy. He was going to meet Diddy so they could have a one-on-one. He was going to fight Diddy. And he said Diddy was standing up there in the middle. He was at this big window, and he was standing in the middle like he was some kind of superhero, some kind of Avenger or something like that, with his hand behind his back. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. I thought that was really entertaining. And then the prosecution went on and had him describe the stuff that Cassie was going through. And did he ever see Cassie with bruises and scars on her and stuff like that? He testified yes. He testified that she told him it came from Diddy. He testified that when him and Cassie stopped dealing with each other and stuff like that, his car ended up blowing up. But Diddy didn't know they had stopped dealing with each other. And so then the prosecution asked him, like, yo, did you believe him when he told you that he didn't blow up your car? He said, nah, I knew he was lying. You understand? But I thought it was funny where he said he was going to fight Diddy. I don't think he would have had a chance with Diddy. My own personal opinion. But who knows? After all the drugs and alcohol, Diddy probably wasn't the same dude he was in the 90s and early 2000s. And I know people gonna say, yo, Diddy only beat women and shit like that. I seen him took some niggas down. I seen him took some big guys down, guys a little bit bigger than him. You understand? He knows who to mess with, I guess. But I seen some dudes who thought they had him and grabbed him, and he ended up slamming them. You know what I mean? So, it is what it is. I know people gonna say, be trolling like, yo, this, that, and the third. But I don't think the average dude gonna run up on him and think that he ain't gonna defend himself, and because he can and he will. The one I knew. There's so many different. It's the Puff Daddy, the Diddy, the Love, the Brother Love. There's so many different people inside this motherfucker. You never know. So I know one thing that I don't believe if I had to put my house up, my money up, you know what I'm saying? And Puff heyday, I would go with Puff. I would go with him. Against a dude that's gonna wear a dress.
Right. So you was up there when Kid Cudi testified. You ain't tell me that, yo.
No, bro, I came into court, but I had to go to the it was late, so I had to go to they had the overflow court. You know what I'm saying? When you don't come early, you have to go to the overflow court. So most of my time was in the overflow court. And that's where I seen the Kid Cudi, the last of all the what you call it? The Kid Cudi was 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 off, and then all the other people, the Psych, the hold up, the makeup artist, and the personal assistant, the makeup artist, the Psych, and computer genius. I mean the computer investigator for the feds, and I seen the rest of those.
From the testimony that Kid Cudi gave, do you think it was a bad look for Diddy? You think it's going to have an effect on Diddy winning the case?
None of it's a good look for him, but it would affect him in a matter whereas that people are building an atmosphere. Whereas that if he didn't do it, his enterprise, people from his enterprise did. People from where he worked, that's what the racketeering come in at. He had people that worked for him to do his dirty deeds. You understand what I'm saying? So that's where that come in at. So his testimony of somebody doing this stuff because he was dealing with Cassie helps the racketeering case for the government. Because he had people that work for him that he's paying to do things like that for him. So the jury was looking that Kid Cudi did a great job. You could tell the jury was entertained by Kid Cudi, bro. Not only were they entertained, you know, because some of them, you know, they try to keep a straight face if they laughed in those 9 yards. But what happens is this. They believed him. They believed him. And they was waiting for the defense to jump on top of Kid Cudi like they jumped on all the rest of the people as far as Dawn and the people that testified, you know what I'm saying, against Diddy, that was going at Diddy. And what happened was when the lawyer got ready to do the redirect to go at Kid Cudi, Puff told him no. And the jury saw that, bro. The jury saw that. Puff's like, nah, don't ask him no more questions. Now he paying all these lawyers all this money to defend him. And that's what that narcissism come in at. Like he know everything. I don't know what he thought they would have pulled out of him or said or stopped or he was killing him or whatever it was Kid Cudi was doing up there. He didn't want to hear or see no more of it. Well, he told his own lawyers, don't redirect, don't say nothing. So they ain't even question Kid Cudi. And that's crazy because what a lawyer wants to do, all lawyers wants to do is get the last word. The last word. They want to go at them and get the last word to make sure that their client is all right. But when Puff did that, you should have seen the face on those jurors' face when he did that. I think that's going to be one of the things that bury him, to make them believe that he directed everybody to do the things that happened. I can't believe that he stopped his lawyers, bro. He stopped his lawyers for doing a redirect on Kid Cudi so they could try to, you know, have the jury thinking a different way. But I guess because Kid Cudi was so entertaining that it made him feel like he wasn't the main focus in the room anymore. Something.
So you believe Diddy's going to get convicted of racketeering?
See, what happened is this. Puff had people do things, criminal acts, buying drugs, right? paying for prostitutes, paying prostitutes, paying for prostitution, uh, 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 bringing people and drugging people, because we now know that the drugs was not in the baby oil, it was in the eye drops. They was putting drugs in the eye drops. So I guess that's where they was, putting in people drinks or whatever like that. But they would, because it's hard to see a little eye drop thing in your hand and you just go and throw a little squirt in somebody's drink or whatever like that. 'Cause you ain't definitely putting nothing in nobody's eyes and say, here, take this. This is gonna make you feel good. They was putting that shit in people's drinks. They found drugs in the eye drops. You understand? I still don't know why they took 1,000 bottles of baby oil and didn't find nothing in it, but they didn't bring that up yet. So they found the drugs in the eye drop. So now the racketeering is going to come, whereas that the people that he had do all those criminal acts, they were paying for it out cash with their own money and credit cards and stuff like that. And then Bad Boy was coming and paying them under Bad Boy Entertainment. They was paying them back. So that's where the racketeering is going to come in at. Committing crimes and then paying for it with the company and using the people in your company to commit the crimes for you. It only takes two, bruh. And they got more than two already. And that's why, and I'm sorry about that, man. That's why you got those people that took those deals. They got his own people testifying against him now. Did you buy drugs? Yes. Who did you buy drugs for? Mr. Combs. What did you buy drugs with? My money. How would you reimburse for your money or whatever like that? Through Bad Boy Entertainment.
Yeah, that was crazy to hear. And like you said, they did find bottles of eye drops with MDMA, which is ecstasy.
They do all kinds of stuff, bruh. And it's crazy how people never even knew that or noticed that. And they had us thinking that it was the baby oil. But they haven't said anything about the baby oil. But I just can't imagine they say they took 1,000 bottles of baby oil out of there and nothing. But they said he liked things that was real. They wanted everything to shine. He wanted everything slippery and willing to shine. They was even talking about that with the hotel manager. Yeah, that's one of the another people they brought in. They brought a guy who ran one of the hotels, and he was saying that how they used fake names, but they made a profile that we already knew that was Sean Combs. He may have used a different name every time, and then because they had to charge because it was always anywhere from $500 worth of damage to $1,000 worth of damage of all the hotels, and the people always hated cleaning it up because it was really nasty and messed up after every party.
Yeah, I heard they had to do deep cleaning for, Diddy hotel rooms after he was done.
He was bringing tubs, like those play pools that your kids grow up in because you can't afford a pool and nothing like that, and filling them up with baby oil. And then, check this out, man. He would have the hotel people. You know how you could turn up the heat in the hotel, right? To 85, 90, and it'd be baking in that joint. They had to bring extra heaters to the hotel, and turn them on. Yo, you can't tell me that ain't no demon and no devil in that man's body. Who wants it that hot? Well, you can't hardly breathe. The hotel would turn the heat up all the way and then bring extra heaters. My man, that ain't the laughing. Bro, you can't tell me that ain't no demon, bro.
Yeah, Diddy a wild boy. I guess he like his freakos intense and everybody sweating. I don't know. I'm trying to make sense of it.
Hey man, I guess you assuming, I'm assuming too, bro. I can't believe that this individual um, put those people and the hotel people saying it wasn't always Cassie, it was other people. They said it wasn't always Cassie, it was different people, and they also said it wasn't always Diddy under that bad boy company that was doing the freak offs. And you had to go through his personal assistant. See, that's where the racketeering in the enterprise, he was setting up freak offs for other people too. And he was using bad boy, bringing prostitutes in, using bad boy entertainment, label, and all that for the freak offs. So we got that information out the court thing too. It wasn't only, it was, and then what happened was is that KK now, it must have became a problem because she had to clear all the freak offs or all the payments for the freak offs. So somebody must have been doing it, and now it had to be cleared by KK when Puff wasn't directly doing it himself.
Yeah, that's a wild guy, man. And I heard that they brought in a psychologist to testify.
I think the government brought a psychologist in to testify because they wanted to paint a picture to the jury of how these people are victims. You understand? See, I'm familiar with the Stockholm syndrome, the Stockholm syndrome. That's when an individual start loving his captive. You understand? You have these women that has that certain type of like syndrome, whereas that they start loving the person that are doing them the worst. You know, you grew up, we all grew up with girls that, they messed with some dudes and they was pretty, they was beautiful, and you want to understand, why she messing with dude like that? Why she keep messing with him? You understand? That's because they mentality and they got their mind and their mental, and the people feel bad. So when they brought that psychologist in there, and she was telling me, and she never interviewed Cassie at all. She never interviewed Cassie. She was telling how bad, how Cassie and people like Cassie, when somebody have all the power and they think they don't have no power, you understand, we all know the rule, the golden rule, the man with all the gold makes all the rules. That's the golden rule. Puff made everybody around him feel, listen, I am the man with the gold. I'm the man who make the rules. If you don't play by my rules, you ain't gonna get to touch this gold or nothing. Now, this was perfectly clear by one of his assistants. One of his assistants got up there and said, yo, to me, Diddy was God. He was like God. He showed me the world. He showed me how big the world. I was like, the dude seemed like, he sounded like Kirk Burrows. Like, like he had a relationship with Diddy before or something. That's how this dude sounded. He was brainwashed. And that's the one that said that he stopped working. I think it was George. He stopped working, but because he couldn't take the beatings, watching Cassie getting the beatings that she was getting. So now the psychologist was there to prove to the jurors that everybody around them was damaged, bro. They was damaged. They was going through some kind of mental that Puff was putting them through. And she practically proved her point. She did a great job in proving her point. They did the defense got on there and tried to, you know, make it seem like, well, you didn't interview Cassie. You can't really, know how she felt and know how she did like that. And she was painting a picture, and she was talking about the behavior. She's talking about the behavior of individuals staying in that type of relationship and that type of atmosphere. You understand? And I think the biggest thing was me from when this guy came up there and he was talking about Puff was like God to him. That proved her point right then and there. He had that golden rule syndrome.
Speaking of his assistants, I heard that one of his assistants testified against him, right? That he was buying drugs for him and prostitutes.
Yeah, that was his assistant. George was one of them. George was one of the systems, and they were saying Roger Bonds did the same thing. Was paying people, would pay them and pay them when they paid their money out. Uh, he had he had like a PA, and then he had like a chief assistant or something that was over one of the assistants. But I think both of those guys got what you call an immunity deal, whereas that if they testify and let the government know about the criminal activity that was going on, that they wouldn't be brought up on any charges. And I think there's going to be another, more people, some more people that's going to get that deal too, or got that deal already. Because this is about bringing down Puff, the whole enterprise, and probably about them taking all his companies down and getting the money from them. That's the way I see it. You understand? And if it's not about justice for Cassie, it's about justice for his past deeds, brother, shit that he did in the past. You're not gonna always get away with shit that he got away with. You understand? So now, if they come and they bring this up and they get all this shit that they bring it into fruition, all the stuff that he did in his past dealings, and he go down for the sex trafficking, which is only one witness, and it only takes one witness for sex trafficking. It only takes one witness, and we got the one witness. We got Cassie, Odie, and we got all the prostitutes that they paid. And now we got the people in that work for him to say they paid some of the prostitutes. They didn't know they was prostitutes at first. That's what they say. But they found out that later on that they were prostitutes.
And you was telling me that he hired another lawyer, right?
I think he hired a guy who used to be somebody, I don't know if it's a guy or girl, lady, but he hired a lawyer that used to be down with the Department of Justice. You understand? I think he had about 10 lawyers already. Listen, save your money, bruh, and take the time and try to come back out and do something with the rest of your life. See what they give you that 5 years. Because I don't care how many lawyers you have, bro. They're not going to lose this case. They're not going to lose this case. And if they do, somebody sabotage this. Because they've already proven the case. They've already proven what they need to prove. That he paid to bring prostitutes across state lines, different states. That's a federal offense. You can't do that. To perform sexual acts, I don't care if it was your girl, your friend, you paying that prostitute to come in there and do that, they proved that. They proved that he used funds from Bad Boy Entertainment to buy drugs, to pay for the prostitutes. They proved the racketeering with the criminal enterprise. Your enterprise, Bad Boy Entertainment, was doing illegal acts and doing illegal things and paying people for it. And paying employees to do your bidding. They proved that, bro. But they got 5 to 6 more weeks for more evidence.
An escort named the Punisher, he testified that he was hired by Diddy and Cassie. And he testified that when he'll be in the room having relations with Cassie, Diddy, he'll be watching. How you feel about
I don't know. How I supposed to feel about it, bruh? Listen here, bruh. this guy, the Punisher, right? First of all, me and my people know him because she used to tutor, Miss Pleasant used to tutor him when he was in high school. And she used to tutor him when she was in high school. She used to tutor him math when he was in high school, Miss Pleasant did. And she was telling me about the dude. She said, "Oh, I gotta get him on my show." I said, "Yeah, you do." So this is what happened too. And I don't know if it's in that part. Diddy and Cassie came, they had masquerade masks on. And Diddy came in with a handkerchief. So all you would see is his eyes. You didn't see, his face. So he sat back and he masturbated while he told the dude what to do to his person that he was going to call his girl, his woman. Now, the way the prosecution was doing is that Diddy, they trying to paint it like, yo, she was an employee, basically, because she wasn't his woman because he had Young Miami, he had uh, Kim Porter, he had Gina, you know what I'm saying? He had a lot of women. So which one is your girl, which one you love? Well, I love all of them. You know what I'm saying? I'm with all of them. Okay, if that's what they getting now and they doing. So he is trying to paint the picture like this is his girl, and the Punisher was being directed by Diddy while he was doing the stuff to punish Cassie. Now, he could not look at Diddy, and as they go on in that whole scene and stuff like that, Diddy gets mad at him because Diddy tried to look him in the eye, or he tried to look Diddy in the eye or something like that when he was doing Cassie and Cassie was doing Diddy. It was some crazy stuff like that, man. But I don't. Can we get back to the trial? Because that's in they sexual acts and what they doing, bro. All this shit is so perverted, and people. I don't know if they really want to hear that, and if they do want to hear that, bro, it's just crazy to me because here it is that this mind that he has and this perverted mind that he do all this shit, I'm trying to wonder where this kid get this shit from. Is this some kind of learned behavior when he was a kid? Because you know his mama used to have those sex parties. His mama used to have those, and he used to see this shit and see some of this stuff. So is this him acting out his childhood fantasies that he saw back when he was a kid or what? I don't know, bruh. I don't even want to talk about it.
That's wild, man. So Diddy, he'll be on the side with a mask on, jacking off while the dude smashing his girl.
You still, you still going at it.
Nah, I ain't hear about that. I ain't hear about the mask. This my
Yeah,
first time
bro.
hearing about that.
Yeah, that's in some of the testimony. He'll have a mask on, directing the Punisher, directing Jonathan Odie, directing a lot of those guys. But I knew they had to know something when he started saying, "Take that, take that, take that." Bad boy, come out and play. They had to know who this nigga was. They had to know who this nigga was, bro. When he started saying, "Cassie, take that, take that," they had to know something, man.
Yeah, and the guy also testified that he was having issues performing because, Puffy, he'll be in the room watching.
Well, he wasn't a real performer, was he? Like I don't know. I don't want to be in no room with no other men if I'm having sex either. But he knew that he was being paid to come up there to perform for a man and a woman. When they called him on whatever they called him on, they said, "What? Yo!" They said that they were using what? What's that app that's real cheap that you could? Yo, buddy, you gotta help me. They was using that bootleg app. What was the name of it?
It's like a dating app.
It wasn't a dating app. It's a regular app that you could. Man,
It's an app like Craigslist. I don't know. I'm pretty sure.
Craigslist. Craigslist. They was getting strippers off of Craigslist, man. They said what? They they was her these multi-millionaire is having her getting strippers off of Craigslist. They wasn't even going to. It used to be this that these rappers used to use back in the day called backstage, and they used to get the girls off that joint back in the day. But they didn't resorted to Craigslist. Wow.
Yeah, they was moving real reckless the way they was trying to find men. But what you think about how they exposed that, Cassie, sometimes she would hit Diddy and tell him that she want to freak off. And Diddy wouldn't be in the mood. Like how you feel about them exposing that in court?
My man, when you get addicted to something, addicted to something, and you become whereas that have you have an appetite for things. Maybe she needed her drugs, and that's the only way she could get her drugs. Maybe she knew that's what he liked. So in order to please him, I gotta get what I need. So I'm gonna say these things. That's why they brought the psychologist in. For the federal government brought the psychologist in and say, yo, she's gonna ask to do some of this stuff because that's like the Stockholm syndrome, whereas that somebody kidnapped somebody and be whipping them and beating them, and now they start loving this person. She was loving the guy. She was doing things to the guy for a guy who had all the power. If you I don't know, I worked with people who was high on opiates. You understand? And they needed opiates. They needed heroin. Bruh, once that shit get in your system, unless you detox that shit out, your body has a craving for it. I know people say they shot heroin up for the first time, and now they need it for the rest of their life unless they get it off of it, get it kicked out of it, use Suboxone, use all kinds of to get off that shit. Some of those drugs, once they get in your system, it's Pandora's box. You don't know what you open your life and your world up to. And that happened to Cassie. So she's going to continually call him because she still got that appetite. She still need those drugs. She has to do those sexual favors to get that shit out of him.
How you feel about the people that feel like Cassie, she was complicit with Diddy?
Well, I don't have nothing bad to say about the people in general, but it was an old saying that my man Ward, salute to Anthony Ward out there in St. Louis, he said, you can't teach stupid. People are just stupid, bruh. You can't teach stupid. Now, what we found out if they went to the trial, that Cassie was 16 years old, modeling. She was 16 years old modeling, and Diddy knew about her then at 16 years old because they had mutual friends. And Bad Boy was doing that same Sean John and doing perfumes, colognes, whatever like that. He had his eye on this girl at 16 years old. But you know he was with probably Jennifer at the time. He was what's called the Cassie getting older. He may have not started messing with her until 19, but he was dealing with her and seeing her and grooming her, having people be in touch with her at 16. At 16. So now he gets her at 19 years old. He shows her the world. He shows her the world, bro. Everybody that said something to her about the trial who knew Cassie from 16 to the point she messed with Diddy, she was not a type of girl that slept around. If she was in a relationship with a guy, it was monogamous. It was just between them two. She didn't do hard drugs. She didn't do ecstasy. She didn't do pills. She didn't do none of that shit. So now he gets this little girl. He been watching her since she was 16. He gets her at 18, 19 years old. I can go in Gucci, buy whatever she want to. She can go in Fendi and buy whatever she want to. Louis Vuitton, Dolce Gabbana. She getting on G5 jets. You got one of the hot songs. You do a video. You go into all these places you ever dreamed of. Here go this man. He put his hands on you. He started putting you in sexual acts and doing things to you and drugging you out your mind. Did they hear Cassie mama testimony? When she testified, not testimony, when she testified that her daughter came to her and said, "Ma, he got these tapes on me doing things that I should have never done, that I knew better. But I was in love with him." Some women out there ain't never loved that hard. And some men ain't never had women that loved them that hard. Well, they would do things that they would have normally did with, and they didn't do with another guy, but they do with you. You was they first in a lot of stuff. He drugged this girl out of her mind. Did tapes on her. Threatened her. You see that? Look at the screen up there. See that video? That's you. She got to look hard because she don't remember. She don't think that's her. She don't believe it's her. But that's her up on that screen. He threatened that he was going to release that to the world. You better keep on. This was coming out in the trial, bro. So for those people who think this little girl thought of all that shit on her own, let me see her track record. Let me see the record before she got to him. I said this last time. Let me see the record. Let me see everything, brother. Let me know. Let me see some of her other boyfriends that peed in her mouth, that gave her drugs. Let me see some of her other boyfriends. This is what's coming out in the trial, bro. So those people, I'm going to say it again. You can't fix stupid.
So why do you think she came out after all these years? You have some people that believe that she felt the type of way that she did all these freak offs with Diddy and she don't got nothing to show for it. And you have some people they believe that she's mad that Diddy did more for Young Miami than her.
Well, you got to understand this, brother. Cassie seen that she wasn't getting her music done. She signed a 10-album deal. She wasn't getting her music done. He gave her, he allegedly, him and other prostitutes or male escorts gave her all kinds of diseases. All kinds of diseases. So she's sitting back and she didn't get none of the stuff that he promised her. So she asked him for $10 million and I'm going to go about my business. Cassie asked him for $10 million. Benjamin Bradford, one of the great lawyers in New York City that helped him on the Shine case, told Puff, yo, get that girl $10 million and she's going to go away. The federal government had been looking at Puff since 2011. I'm going to say this again. The federal government had been looking at Puff since 2011 because they had information or somebody made a complaint to them that he was sleeping with underage boys. They went and offered a proffer agreement to one of the gangsters who's in jail. I'm not going to say his name, but 50 be getting at him all the time. Point blank. Now, they've been watching Puff for the longest. Cassie dropped the lawsuit. Puff pays her $30 million the next day. They read the lawsuit. It's in record. Oh, this is against the law. That's against the law. We could get him for this. We could get him for that. So now they give Cassie a deal. You took part of this, Cassie. Do you think she wanted to come to court on him? She got her $30 million and she can go with her family now. She's not getting paid for this. She didn't bring charges up against him. The federal government did. And gave her immunity in any charges. Cassie got immunity too, bruh. Because if it's sex trafficking and she's taking part of it and she's paying them and by Puff telling her to pay them, Puff telling them to get them, she's doing it too. So we have to give her immunity. She's not there at her own free will. She's not a hostile witness.
Yeah, I get it. I see where you're coming from. But how you feel about the people that feel like Cassie husband, he's the one that put her up to it because they needed the money and,
Well, when I was with Puff, he used to pay this guy $2,500 every time he worked out with him, like he was his trainer. So I'm just saying, I know Alex made some money in being a trainer with Puff. How he spent his money, I don't know. You got to realize Cassie had a salary of $250,000 a year also. So where are they broke at? Ain't that enough to do something? It ain't enough to do nothing, but it's enough to do something. Cassie was with a well-to-do family where his mother took out $20,000 to pay Diddy. This came out in the trial. So my thing about it is this. They had money and enough money to do something, not to do nothing. Everybody always want to call people broke. They don't know people's pockets. They want to assume and say dumb shit. But them people wasn't on no corner begging and asking nobody for nothing. My thing, you can't fix stupid.
Right. Never looked at it that way. That's a good way to look at it, man. And congrats to Puffy daughters, too. They graduated high school this week. So, congrats to them, man, with everything they going through.
Shout out to his daughters. He better hope nobody catch them and do them the way he did somebody else's daughters. And trust to believe there's guys out here that will do that just because they Diddy's daughters. That's how evil, that's how nasty our world could be.
Let me ask you this, right? When it comes to Puffy kids, do you think in the back of their mind they wondering if their dad had anything to do with their mom death, Kim Porter?
Well, I think that none of them probably and I witness Puff ever putting their hands on Kim because Kim, I think, got to the point where she saw and found her power. I believe Kim found her power, whereas that if Diddy would have put his hands on her after she slit his wrist, she knew he was pussy. This all I had to do? So after she slit his wrist, I believe Kim found her power. Now, Diddy used to rough her up with the pillow fight and everything like that, and shit like that. But I don't think I've never seen him physically put his hands on her. But maybe some of the other bodyguards after me did. But I believe Kim found her power. I don't know if Roger Barnes testified that he saw her put his hand on Kim. But nonetheless, I can't speak for those kids, but with all the information and all the stuff that came out, I would think, and no kids want to think bad about their father, especially somebody who has made it so grandeur in their life that everything is to the fifth, to the 10th power. They don't want to think bad about their father. But there's a possibility that Quincy may believe, but those are his sisters and those are his brothers. He may not let them know or want them to have that feeling.
I'm hearing that a makeup artist they testified against Diddy. You know anything about that?
Well, her claims were that she was with Cassie and Diddy, on a couple of videos. She had did a lot of different videos for Kodak Black and Future that Cassie was on, and she did them. She even did stuff for Rihanna. So the lady was she was a renowned makeup artist. She wasn't no bootleg makeup artist where somebody that Cassie found or whatever like that. And she had been knowing Cassie, and she's the one who brought up that she'd been knowing Cassie since she was 16 years old, and Diddy had her eyes on him. It was speculation like that. You understand? Because Cassie was in the modeling thing. I didn't even know Cassie was in the modeling thing at first. She was in New York modeling with the word girl Karen that Puff hit in the head with the hanger and choked her. You understand? She was modeling with her. So that's how I came into the assumption that, okay, Puff has been watching this kid ever since she was 16 years old, whatever like that. So now she was there when Cassie got her eye bruised up and Diddy beat up pretty bad. And she was the one who called the lawyer, called the doctor, and called one other of her friends and stuff like that. Cassie wouldn't let her call the police. She was going to call the police. You understand? So then she was the one who snuck Cassie out of her house, out of the apartment and everything like that, and took her to her house. And she stayed at her house for a couple of weeks or whatever like that until they got money up or something like that and they went someplace else so Diddy wouldn't find them. You know, her testimony was pretty good, and she was the one that they were trying to say, well, you didn't see it. She was saying that you didn't see him beat him and all like that. If somebody go in a room with somebody and He leaves in a hurry, and you go right in the room, and she got her lip busted. She busted her lip, blacked her eye, and she had knots all over her head. And she's like, what the? Yo, that's just as crazy, man. For dude just to do that little girl like that, bro. And the lady was testifying to that. It was almost like Cassie mama testifying when she took the pictures of the bruises that Cassie had all over her body. It's just certain that you just don't do to people, man. So she testified that to the abuse, but also testified that the people who was involved, who came to always to clear his up from the company. He uses employees to cover up his wrongdoings. KK, D-Rock, George. So that's what she testified to. And she did a great job.
Yeah, that's sad, man. Like if he did all that, man, that's heartbreaking, man.
Bruh, it's more to come, bruh. Because what the prosecution, the defense trying to do, the defense is trying to, you still got Gina, and the prosecution or the defense was trying to tell the prosecutor, well, she's not a witness. She's not a witness. They want the prosecution to hurry up to bring Gina in so Gina could paint the picture that like everything was consenting because she's been paid off.
And this is the one that disappeared, right?
Yeah, this is the one who disappeared. This is the one who they could get her. It's nowhere she could go that the federal government, if they want you, that you can't be gotten. You understand what I'm saying? If the federal government wants you that bad, you'll be gotten, bro. It's too much technology, photo imaging. There's nowhere she could go. She Asian, you know what I'm saying? Half Asian or whatever like that. She might like Chinese food, rice or whatever like that. She got to go somewhere to get something to eat. You know what I mean? It's crazy, bro. So now she come and she testified in behalf of Diddy. They want the prosecution to bring her in. They know she's a hostile witness. You understand what I'm saying? I don't want to be here, this, that, and other. She made a post, I'd rather be in Chanel and all this other shit like that. That's the girl who took off the payment. She took the $2 million payment from Diddy and them when she got on Tasha K. I think Diddy may have gave her $2 million or something like that. Got her in school, gave her an apartment out in LA, still was messing with him. Oh man, brainwashed. But she did talk to the federal government. They do have emails and everything from her and her lawyer. So she had to be somewhat involved in that. You understand? It's a lot of stuff. They said they got 6 more weeks of testimony. So they're going to start bringing it in and they're going to keep tying this RICO. They're going to keep tying this racketeering because they are now ready to take down Combs Global. Tie that to Bad Boy and show whereas that he's using his money and using his funds to do criminal business, then that means they're going to take that down too.
How you feel about the people that's calling Kid Cudi a snitch?
That's what's wrong with our people today. Cassie could get brutalized. Gina could get beat. Kid Cudi could get his car blown up. But all you gotta say is we gotta take that. You gotta take that stuff, and you a snitch. Grow the fuck up. That's what I got to say. Grow up. You can't teach stupid.
Gene Deal, great interview, man. You came through, updated everybody with the trial, man. Can't wait to see what's popping next week and get your take on it, man. Great interview, my guy. Before we end it, man, let the people know what you got going on and
Yeah, listen here, man. I got my wanted out. It's a great bourbon. Maybe my man 50 Cent will distribute it for me. Hey, yo, 50, holla at your boy. I'll be here, bruh. Put my liquor on your distributor's log, bruh. Got the liquor, got the YouTube, you know what I'm saying? Still the Gene Deal show. And then I do a show with Paperwork and Miss Pleasant at the Pop-Off show, Paperwork show. And I got my Instagram, Big Gene _5 Deuce. And I'm just here, man. I have my 2 books, and I'm almost finished with my 3rd one. It's coming soon. I'm trying to get it before August the 18th. I'm trying to get it out on my grandfather's birthday. All my books came out on a certain birthday, and I want this one to come out too like that. All right. Thank you all, man. I appreciate you. See you next week.